Welcome everybody. Currently I'm stood in the upturned body of one of the most iconic 90s Japanese cars really, in my opinion, that's ever really been made. This has come to us, we've got quite a lot of work, we're working in conjunction with another company on this one. You'll see why, but the other company has fully gutted the car, as can be seen. So I'm just going to step outside of it now. And yeah, those of you that know these cars will recognise this as an R33 Skyline. Well, the cultural following on these is massive. You know, you've seen now in the videos people running 800, 1,000 horsepower more out of these. They do drag strips, drifting. They're just one of the most iconic. Fast and Furious obviously had a lot of them in there as well. If you join us around here, so that's obviously of an issue. We're going to be sorting that out. But not only that, that's bowed out the inner sill on the inside of the car, so there's going to be a lot of work in this area. Chassis rail, usually because that's a known weak spot on these cars. So what ends up happening is, as soon as this starts crumpling, people go, right, well, we'll lift on the chassis rail sections, which is fine. It can take it, but you end up with it all sewed in like this because you have usually a couple hundred kilos worth of engine and gearbox over here. And then the rest of the car, diff, you know, all that sort of heavy stuff at the back end. So you're almost trying to fold the car in half at this point. We've made a reasonable start so far on just trying to get all of the under seal and all of the wrap off, just to reveal all of these little nasty bits and bobs. Obviously, rear end of the sill, that's got issues and stuff with it, but thankfully a lot of it is cleaning up really quite nicely. So quite pleased with that. Still got a lot of the bottom section to do. We're going to flip it over and go around it, but you know, it's just revealing various issues in places that, you know, isn't particularly good. Not in a car that, when done, is worth, I say, easy £50,000-60,000. Really good ones of these, so we can't be having any of that. So this is a bit of a long-term project that we're going to be working on. But yeah, keep an eye on this one. You might have seen it knocking about in the background of a couple of the other videos as well, but we're trying to kind of keep separate videos on projects like these ones. So yeah, just what it is. Right, I'm going to flip it over and get it into a car. A little bit more information on this car anyway, from what we've discovered as we've stripped it down and done a little bit more digging. I do believe at some point in its history, it had an owner that forgot they weren't Ken Block. And I think it's had a crash when somebody was either trying to drift it, or they were just very unlucky and hit a curb or a bollard. Something on this front end, I reckon, has come in, either hit part of the subframe or part of the wheel, and moved the whole subframe in this front end. It's cocked it round. Because what we're finding is, I'll probably bet if you pass me the camera there, Mr. Cameraman. So what we found down in this corner is this section here is all rippled up. You can actually see a crack in the chassis rail there. So that's not meant to be like that. And if I spin you around on this side, you can see it's bellied it a little bit, but this is a bit closer to how it should be shaped. So there's something that's clearly gone amiss. Now I reckon it's had an impact over this side and shoved the subframe back and lifted and twisted it up to cause this issue. So a bit more investigating here, and probably remake a lot of this and actually try and get it onto a bit of a jig to find out just how far out a lot of the components are. But I'm just going to clamber out. So as well as the damage to the chassis rail over there, this particular area, this isn't right, this isn't original, and neither are these welds up here, neither are these welds down here, and neither is this gap under there. So we reckon that the wheel has come back in the arch, hit that and gone up, and actually caused some damage because it's rippled in several areas, all in this corner. So you can see where the welds come through from the other side. Now obviously none of this is original, and there's a great gap under here. So something's amiss in this corner. We're going to do some more digging and figure it out, but it just gives you a bit of an idea of just how bellied out that inner sill is. As I say, the sills on these are a bit of a known weak spot, so yeah, that's where we're up to. And there we are. Since we last had a bit of a walk round on the Skyline, as can be seen, we've actually managed to clean off this whole bottom portion, which I believe it was sort of here and possibly a bit further back that we hadn't quite cleaned off yet. So we've got all that cleaned off. Obviously that has revealed a multitude of sins and bad areas that is still going to need some attention. But thankfully now we can see everything that's bad and needs replacing and needs work and things like that. So the next thing to be doing with this is probably a good few hours of online research and seeing what panels we can find from where and how much. Yeah, the next step on this one, irritatingly, is spending some money. So we'll join back in when I've actually spent some money and got some panels sat there on the floor ready to go back in. So a little bit of a waiting game now, as I believe some of them may end up having to come from Japan. So we'll see what happens there. But fingers crossed, it'll be all right.